Morrison Hotel Shootout. Pew, pew, pew. It's a shootout between the Doors vinyl Morrison Hotel and a 24-bit file. Pew! Today we're going to find out if a vinyl record from Paris, France is better than... Today we're going to find out if the Doors Morrison Hotel vinyl record from Paris, France is better than a... Is vinyl always better than digital? Let's find out. We're going to do a shootout between the Doors Morrison Hotel vinyl record from Paris, France and a 24-bit 196K HDTracks file. If I said that right. Let's go! Boys and girls, thanks for joining today. I appreciate it. Today, as the intro stated, we're going to do a shootout between two versions of the Doors Morrison Hotel. One is going to be on vinyl and one is going to be a high-res file. Now, for the vinyl copy, a very dear friend of mine went over to Paris, France a couple years ago and didn't bring me a t-shirt. He brought me something better. He came back and he bought me this out of one of the local record stores there. This is a, well, let's just go over first. Obviously, it's Morrison Hotel. This was the 5th studio album by the Doors. It was released in 1970, February 9th to be exact. Open that up, look at that interior, really good. So this was, like I said, picked up in Paris, France. It was actually also printed in Germany, if I'm correct here. I will put all of the... I'll put the pictures on here so you can take a look at that while we're discussing. All right, so as stated, this is it's a vinyl copy from Paris, France, and putting on my detective hat and going on to Discogs, and I'll put some pictures here of what I came across, is that this edition was probably distributed between 1979 and 1982, and that is based, cue the picture, because the label has a butterfly on it. And it also states that it does have a date of 1973 Elektra Records distributed by WEA Music. So everything that I can determine on this thing is that it was probably issued sometime between 1979 and 1982. It is a reissue, it is not a remaster. That is the album we're talking about from a vinyl perspective. I'll go over the digital one here in a second. But how I listened to these was that, you know, from an analog perspective, everybody should know what my system is. Take a look in the description below. Real quick, it is an Audio-Technica turntable, upgraded stylus, going through a Pro-Ject 2-box S2 Phono preamp, out the Rotel A11 Tribute integrated amp, and out these Wharfedale 85th Anniversary Edition speakers. The only difference is on the digital side, it's going through my computer through an application called, I'm gonna mispronounce it, Audio-Technica, something like that, going through a USB cable into the back of my Denafrips Aries 2 DAC into the Rotel and then out the speakers, okay? So what I did was I put on the vinyl record first, hadn't listened to it before, and sat back and listened to the entire first side. And what I found is that for the decibels, and I'll put that here I think, I had to turn up the Rotel up to, the volume was turned up to 72, and that gave me an average decibel listening of 84 dBs with a low end of 80 and a high end of 89. So really just 9 decibels difference doesn't give you a lot of dynamic range, and it didn't. The overall, again, no pops, cracks, skips, surface noise was exceptionally low. I was very, very surprised. I did clean it one more time before I put it on, but overall the condition of the vinyl was fantastic. The imaging was good. The imaging was pretty darn good. The sound stage, again, this is for the vinyl record, the sound stage was about 2.5 feet, 2 to 2.5 feet outside the left speaker and the right speaker. And as far as the center image, it got up to about 2.5 feet as well. So pretty good, pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. It did give me a warmer type of sound. I would say that in general, I do have probably warmer sounding system, maybe just a tick on the warm side from neutral. And I think that probably comes from the tubes that I have in the Pro-Ject, and maybe these speakers as well. But this album on the vinyl did come across overly warm, which I was a bit surprised. Overly warm. Yeah, so how do I determine the left or right, the distance from the soundstage? What I'll do is I'll sit there 10 feet away, close my eyes, and then I will point to as far as I'm getting sound or hearing the sound coming at me. And then once the song is over, I'll take a look and I'll find out how far away my finger is pointing from the speakers, and it gives me a general idea of the soundstage and how wide it is. Okay, and for the center image and height, it's pretty easy, right? Just point right in front of me, close my eyes, and find out where the sound is coming from. So, real non-scientific way to determine the size of my soundstage, but that's what I do. All right, so that's what I did. I listened to the first side first, and I was enjoying the record. And then what I wound up doing was, before I flipped on side 2, I wanted to queue up the digital file and listen to that quickly so I wouldn't forget about the song. Hey, if you like this content, you like the Doors Morrison Hotel, hit like. Hey, if you really like this, don't be shy. Hit subscribe. And hopefully I didn't tick you off on draft day by wearing this. Let's hope we get a quarterback, New England fans, right? That's it. All right. Enjoy the rest of the Morrison Hotel episode. Thanks for watching. So what do we talk about from the digital file? So the digital file I sourced from HDTracks, and I'll go over all the pricing here at the end of the video. I sourced from HDTracks 3-4 years ago or so, and it's a 24-bit 96K file, HiRes file. What the difference is now, in order to get the dBs to about the same 84, 85, that's where I typically like to listen to it. Again, I'm 10 feet away. And I had to bring the volume up to 69. Typically, my digital files will be a good 8 to 9 dBs louder than the record, generally speaking. In this case, I kept having to turn up the volume to reach 69. Okay, and that gave me, cue picture, that gave me an average listening of 85 decibels, low end of 75, high end of 95. 20 dBs difference, and you could feel and hear it in the music. The dynamic range was there. All right, excellent imaging on the digital file. Again, I was surprised. Really, what was going on here is it felt like somebody took a blanket off the speakers or blew the fog away from the imaging, right? It almost sounded like the vinyl was muffled. It almost sounded like this was muffled. And again, I was shocked. Excellent imaging. Instrumentation was much more pronounced. Although the image was good on the vinyl record, on the HD file, the high-res file, I should say, instead of 2.5 feet on either side of the speakers, it was going out 4 to 5 feet. Same thing with the center image. It was getting up to 4 to 5 feet. Everything was bigger on the high-res file. The instrumentation was separated out more holographically than the vinyl version. I didn't hear anything as far as EQ being different. I just heard more of everything on the HiRes file. It was a much more enjoyable listen. Couple things I want to point out. So really where I saw the differences. When I listened, like I mentioned earlier, I listened to the first side of the vinyl album first, and then I queued up the first side of the, or the first 6 songs or whatever they are on the HDTracks version. And Waiting for the Sun, second song, side 1, you were getting a ton more depth. And it was, yeah, you knew it instantaneously. You could close your eyes and the soundstage was much deeper. Where the depth on the vinyl, really wasn't there. And I didn't expect that. It was a very narrow depth, if any. Instruments were segmented out okay on the vinyl record, but not as good as the HiRes file, and certainly not as good as the depth on the HiRes file. Yeah, I wrote here that the soundstage sounded like a sheet was being lifted off of it for the HiRes file. You're getting better highs, better lows, more pronounced, the mids are sweeter, everything was better on the HiRes file. All right, so a couple more things. The third song, You Make Me Real, immediately this one just presented with so much more energy. That's another big difference between the HiRes file and the vinyl. It was a lot more energy coming out of the HiRes file. You know, your foot was tapping more, it was just a more enjoyable, throw that another sense at it. You can feel it as much as you're hearing it. Yeah, much more enjoyable, I wrote here. You feel the music more. Yeah, much more energy, really. That's one of the biggest takeaways. HiRes file was delivering a heck of a lot more energy. My favorite song on the album, fourth song, first side, Peace Frog. I love Peace Frog. Heck, it's the reason why I own this album, if I'm really being honest. This album's not my favorite Doors album. It's not my least favorite either. But I gotta be in a mood to listen to this. But man, Peace Frog, woohoo! Yeah. In fact, this is what my foot was doing. Cue the video. Yeah, Peace Frog was great. Foot tapping, and I wrote down, foot tapping and hand slapping. This thing was incredible. And again, a lot more depth, a lot more immediacy in the room. The room was jumping. And on the vinyl record, it was just, Peace Frog, okay, great. Something's missing. Everything that was missing from the vinyl record, you could find in the HiRes file. Again, no one was more surprised than me. The second side, because, okay, once I listened to what equated to the first side in the digital file, I let it go into the second side. And The Spy, which I think is the second song on the second side, what I noticed was there's a hell of a lot more air and space. Again, that holographic nature of the music and the realism of the music, really. You weren't getting any air and space on the, you weren't getting that on the vinyl record. Again, I was disappointed. It was good, don't get me wrong, the vinyl record was good, but it did not equate to the HiRes file in this case at all. You're getting 3D imaging with The Spy. And then I went back and listened to it again on the vinyl record. I did that a couple more times back and forth. And yeah, I mean, really the conclusion here is so overall, what do I think? Well, I think that's going to be pretty easy what I think, right? The digital file was much better than the analog version from at least this version from Paris, France. I'm so happy I have it, right? Because it is from Paris, France, that I will treasure this. And I really thank the individual who got it for me once again. Thank you. I won't listen to this as much, but I have it, and that's fantastic. The HiRes file was just so much better. All right, so let's go over value as well. So this thing, you really can't put a value on it, right? Because it's used and it came from Paris. Okay, fine. You can get a new one, a new record today. Again, standard 33 1/3, nothing special. you can pick one of those up for $24.99. Cue the picture. All right. The digital file, the one that I use, let's cue up that picture. That you can buy today for 20 bucks, $19.98. Is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it than going out and getting a standard, just reissue of this record vinyl-wise. At least this copy. Now, the digital, you can also get a remastered, reissued 50th anniversary deluxe edition, 24-bit 192K, so a little bit more resolution, I presume would be better. I haven't listened to it, but you can pick it up for under $60, $58.98, and that's going to come with a whole host of studio outtakes and demos and all that type of stuff. So you can take a look at that as well. Now, probably the creme de la creme, and it's 60 bucks. If this is an album that is on your desert island, you may want to go here. It's from Analog Productions. It's $59.99. It's 45 RPM. It's mastered by Doug Sachs and overseen by Bruce Botnick, who is the Doors producer and original engineer. And that's also sourced from the original analog tapes. Now, if you've seen my previous review on Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, yeah, Crosby, Stills, Nash, their debut album, it is an Analog Productions, and it sounds probably the best sounding album I have. It is awesome. Analog Productions puts out some fantastic stuff. If this was my Desert Island album, I would be chasing that version. For 60 bucks, you can't go wrong. Since it's not my overall favorite Doors album, and it's not on my it's not on my Desert Island list, I'm very happy with the 24-bit 96K that I have. And that's how I feel. If you think similarly to me, go for it. You're not going to go wrong for less than 20 bucks. You're going to get a ton of enjoyment out of it. Just look at my feet. So that's it, everybody. That's the Doors Morrison Hotel vinyl versus digital shootout. In this case, digital wins, and it wasn't even close. So that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a quick one. If you are stressed out and tired and just looking to listen to some Doors and you don't have the time to go out and get the vinyl record, do yourself a favor. Go download one from HDTracks. I get nothing from it, so don't worry about that. But you'll be cooking with gas inside of 10 minutes. Sit back with your favorite beverage and enjoy the sounds of the Doors Morrison Hotel. It's a good one. Let your feet do some tapping, your hands do some slapping, get that Peace Frog cranking up around 85 dBs, and you'll be smiling. And that's it. That's the name of the game, right? Do everything we can to put a little smile on our face at the end of the day. All right, take care. Thanks for watching, and I'll try and get another one out here shortly. Later, bye.